William and Kate are definitely the most popular royals, and they are also the future of the royal family, which I think definitely adds to their popularity. It's star power, isn't it? They're young and beautiful, and they have these 3 great children that people really buy into as well.
At first glance, it looks entirely ordinary. A family building a life around school runs, weekend activities, and the everyday milestones of childhood.
Kate and William are very good parents. It's a relationship built on example and love.
On the surface, it's a scene millions of parents experience every day. But these children are not ordinary pupils. One day, one of them will be the monarch. William and Catherine are the world's most famous royal couple, acting as the central anchors and the public face of the future British monarchy. They were married in 2011.
I pronounce that they be man and wife together in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Their wedding was a global spectacle, watched by millions, and hailed as the beginning of a new chapter for the monarchy. Yet while the ceremony captured the world's attention, it was what came next that would define William and Catherine's public identity. Having met as students and spent nearly a decade together, the couple would soon embark on the role that would shape their future more than any other: parenthood.
She speaks well, she makes people feel very relaxed, she is always elegant, she always is dignified. But I think what she and William have done very cleverly is to retain the mystique of monarchy, while at the same time giving people a sense that this is just a very ordinary family that people can identify with.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, very nice to meet you.
This is Oliver. I'd like to show you.
And this comes, I think, from a very stable middle-class upbringing.
Normal middle-class upbringing with her parents. You know, they've owned a few businesses and things like that, and she went to St Andrews University to study. So she had a very outdoorsy life, a very normal middle-class British upbringing. And that's what she's trying to bring to her 3 children.
In contrast, Prince William grew up in a childhood unlike most, where royal privilege was inseparable from constant media attention, public scrutiny, and the emotional upheaval of his parents' highly public separation, shaping an early life lived very much in the spotlight rather than in privacy.
William had a fairly traditional aristocratic childhood. He was taken care of by nannies, and the nannies really were the people that William spent most of his time with.
Although being brought up mainly by nannies, Prince William did share a close and affectionate relationship with his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. Her death in 1997, when William was 15, marked a profound turning point in his adolescence and is widely understood to have had a lasting impact on his outlook, including his later emphasis on protecting his own family's privacy and emotional stability. For William, becoming part of Kate's family introduced him to a different kind of family life, one built around togetherness, stability, and everyday moments. Having grown up amid the unique pressures of royal life, he found comfort in the warmth and closeness of the Middleton family, and has often appeared happiest when surrounded by them. Having said that, William and Kate's family life exists under extraordinary expectations. As the Prince and Princess of Wales and the future King and Queen, their roles extend far beyond their private lives. The arrival of their children was not only a personal joy, but also a moment of national significance, securing the next generation of the monarchy.
His relationship with the Middleton family, I think, has been terribly important to him, and I think it has really grounded him in a way that other members of the family have not been so grounded.
2 years after the wedding, a royal baby would arrive, Prince George.
They were holding the baby and they just looked so beautiful and happy. It was really stunning. I'll never forget it.
There was huge excitement when Prince George was born. The media had been waiting for 3 weeks. It was a swelteringly hot summer. There were crews from all over the world desperately, frantically trying to give their viewers something new, talking endlessly about the building or the history of the place, spinning it out for a very long time.
Very emotional.
Yeah, it's very emotional and it's such a special time. I think any parent, I think, will probably sort of know what this feeling feels like. So
Very special.
Kate looked extraordinary. She didn't look as though she'd been pregnant at all as she came out, having given birth just hours earlier. William got the baby in the car seat into the back of the Range Rover and off they went. But it was a very, very happy day. I think both of them were thrilled to be parents. Kate had had a difficult pregnancy. She'd had excessive morning sickness, or sickness throughout really. But I think she took to being a mother. She was a natural, and she had great support.
Prince George is not only their child, but a future king, growing up with the knowledge that one day he will inherit the crown. Reports suggest that George was gradually introduced to the reality of his destiny from a young age, allowing him time to understand the unique path ahead.
It's a relationship built on example and love, and even when there needs to be discipline, it is done in a way that enforces boundaries but doesn't in some ways disparage the child. And this is reflective of the generation that they're in, of what their own friends are doing, I think, with their own children.
2 years later, Princess Charlotte came along, also born in the Lindo wing of the same hospital. And she, despite being a girl, is fourth in line to the throne.
So the Succession to the Crown Act was enacted in 2013. This basically meant that Princess Charlotte could be in line to be heir to the throne by her birthright. So before the Succession to the Crown Act of 2013, it would have went Prince William, then George, then Louis, then Charlotte. But the Succession of the Crown Act of 2013 meant that it actually went Prince William, George, then Charlotte, then Louis. Before, it basically meant that male heirs came before female heirs. But now the Act has meant that a female heir, wherever she was born, will be in the line of succession according to her age, and she won't be skipped by her brother.
This was a reality familiar to Anne, Princess Royal. Despite being the second child of Queen Elizabeth II, she was overtaken in the line of succession by her younger brothers, simply because they were male. For centuries, royal succession favoured sons over daughters. But in 2013, that centuries-old rule was abolished, ensuring that birth order, not gender, would determine a royal child's place in line to the throne. It was a historic change, reflecting a monarchy adapting to the modern age. Here we see George arriving at the hospital to meet his little sister.
Like any father, this was a moment Prince William wanted to share with his son. Prince George was carried into the Lindo wing to meet his little sister for the first time.
Her full name is Charlotte Elizabeth Diana, honouring past relatives. Charlotte is the feminized version of her grandfather King Charles, and is also Aunt Pippa's middle name.
King Charles III was so touched when Charlotte was named after him. It's always thought that he and Princess Diana wanted a daughter, ended up with 2 wonderful sons. And so when his son had a daughter, he was so excited and said that he was going to spoil her rotten, and also said that it was lovely to have someone to look after him in his old age. Princess Charlotte has a few nicknames. Her father likes to call her Mignette, which I believe means delicate one, and also her mum calls her Lottie.
One lesson William and Kate appear particularly mindful of is the historic dynamic of the heir and the spare. The idea that one child is destined to inherit the throne while another serves as a backup. It is a tradition that has shaped generations of royals, sometimes creating feelings of imbalance and uncertainty within families.
William and Kate definitely want to avoid another Harry situation, in that they want to make sure that they bring up their 3 children to know that even if you're not going to be the heir, whatever path you choose in your life can be worthwhile, and they want to support that to make sure that they don't have a child who feels like a spare, like Harry did, and maybe isn't guided to find his path. So they want to make sure that that doesn't happen, that they are supportive of their children, that they make sure that, you know, they're guided on their paths to whatever it is that they want to do, whatever it is that they want to be. And also so that they can prevent fallouts, you know, so the family can stay together, and whoever is in the family, whatever their role is, that they know that they are important and they are worthwhile and they are part of this family.
I mean, there's the classic engagement with Harry and William on a journey to Highgrove one weekend. And they'd clearly been at loggerheads with each other, William and Harry. So the nanny was sat in the middle of this back seat refereeing this argument until Diana, who was driving, I sat in the front seat, told them to shut up. And at which point Harry turns across to William, and I'll never forget this. He said, "It's all right for you," he said, "you'll be king one day." He said, "I won't be, and so it doesn't matter, therefore I can do what I like." And it was a fantastic statement. And Diana was completely transfixed driving, and she said out of the corner of her mouth, "Where the hell did he get that from?" I don't know, but he's just said it, and I think he probably means it. I would sort of go forward a lot. I mean, that's exactly in essence now what Harry has done.
There can be life outside the royal family. You know, we've seen other members of the royal family, whether it's Beatrice, Eugenie, you know, Zara Phillips, have all done jobs and done amazing things with their life. And also Prince Harry has done some pretty cool things with his life as well. I mean, the Invictus Games is an incredible legacy to leave. And so they want their children to know that outside of the royal family, outside of being the heir, you know, there is a path that they can follow, and that they will guide them to that path, and that they can do it and not feel like perhaps they are not worth being in the royal family, or that, you know, they have to perhaps feel that they are being left out in some way.
Their youngest brother Louis was born in 2018.
Prince Louis is definitely your typical, 5-6-year-old. He is very cheeky, really funny to see him at royal events, actually. He was famous for putting his hands over his ears when the fly past went past and screaming. We've seen him making faces at his mom when he's been told to, behave and sit down. He's really, really funny, definitely very cheeky, very mischievous. Even though he's having all that royal training, he is, a young boy who has to sit still at long events, and he's done pretty well. But it's definitely so funny to see his take on a royal event, and the memes that have been made of him across social media are priceless. She balances him. She's definitely more calm, a bit more sedate, and he definitely is the cheeky one. They look very alike, but it seems that they've got quite different personalities. And a lot of people have compared him to Prince Harry. When he was younger, he was definitely very cheeky. He used to pull a fair amount of faces as well. So a lot of people have said that Prince Harry and Prince Louis are definitely very alike.
Away from royal duties, William and Kate have encouraged their children to enjoy a wide range of interests and hobbies. Prince George is known to be a keen sports fan, particularly enjoying football and tennis, while also sharing his parents' love of the outdoors. Princess Charlotte has developed a passion for dance and gymnastics, and is often described as confident and energetic. Prince Louis, the youngest of the three, is said to enjoy outdoor adventures and spending time in nature with his family.
Kate has definitely styled herself as the more strict parent out of the two of them. She doesn't like screen time. She wants her children to be doing more active things, whether that's arts and crafts, whether that's sports. We know that Charlotte loves to play tennis. George is really good at rugby, and Louis loves that as well. So she's all about them being really active, being very outdoorsy, and she's all about, really being in control of her children. Her mum helps out with the kids as well, and she's a very hands-on parent.
All the royal family are country people at heart. I mean, they have country houses, they enjoy going stalking and fishing and sailing. They're not really urban people. I mean, they are like most of the British aristocracy. Their roots are very much in the country. And I think they've been keen, all the younger royals, to create this sense of affinity with nature. William, of course, is a very strong environmentalist. He's made that very much his own issue. It's not a party political issue, but it's clearly a big, important issue that unites the country. So I think they've been very clever about what they've chosen, and often it reflects their own interests.
William and Kate have been determined to build the same close family environment that Kate enjoyed growing up. With greater flexibility than previous generations of royals, they have prioritised raising their children themselves, believing a strong family foundation is essential. It marks a notable shift for the monarchy, as few royal parents before them had the same opportunity to put family life first.
They were determined, I think, to be real hands-on parents.
Much more hands-on.
Very hands-on when it comes to her children. She likes to do the school run. She likes to be the one that goes shopping for school supplies and uniform, socks and underwear and all those other things that normal mums do. She wants to be the one to do it. She wants to be the one that's very hands-on with her children. And she wants to make sure that she's really rooted in whatever they're doing, whatever's happening at school, whatever sports they're involved in, clubs, extracurricular activities. She really wants to be across that because she wants to be a hands-on parent. She had that from her parents. She's seen the damage that happens when you don't have that from parents. So she wants to make sure that she is there for her three children.
William's childhood informed his adulthood. There's no doubt about it. He witnessed some horrible things as a child, and he was very concerned about his mother.
Diana was a good mother. There was a bank of nannies. There were about 3 nannies that did a shift system, that did all the sort of basic stuff, like giving them breakfast. But Diana was actually quite hands-on. And certainly, if she was in London, she would take them to school, and she would always try to be there at the end of the day, to be part of this sort of mother image, which she was very keen on doing. They had a very good relationship, but they were no different, the children, although with all the luxury and the privileges of being royal, and they were constantly being reminded of how privileged they were and what life was like on the other side of royalty. And that's why Diana would, a bit later, took William to these refuge shelters. Again, not for any sort of photographic opportunity, because very often when we went there, we went without anyone knowing that we were going. But it was part of Diana's education, so she was very keen to be a hands-on mother in that sense, both in the house and outside of it.
Diana kept nothing from him. She cried in front of him, flew into rages in front of him. He saw her distress at the media.
It was relentless. I don't think there was a day, apart from a very few days, when we managed to escape the loitering paparazzi. I think at this point it's interesting to say that there was a difference for me when you mentioned the press. There's the press, the sort of Fleet Street pack, you know, the sort of national newspaper journalists and photographers who worked very professionally. And then, in complete contrast, the sort of free-for-all runaround of the paparazzi in search of the picture that nobody else has got.
The princess, here at the centre of attention last Friday when the terms were settled, didn't attend the court.
The couple have apparently exchanged nicknames and intimate gifts. It's also been alleged that Carling phoned Diana 3 to 4 times a day, some chats lasting for hours.
I hope you can find it in your hearts to understand and to give me the time and space that has been lacking in recent years.
But fundamentally, William couldn't protect his mother, but he can protect Kate. He's hugely protective of Kate and his friends, and always has been. And there was, you know, always the tradition: never explain, never complain, never sue. All of that's out of the window with William. You know, very early on in his relationship with Kate, he let it be known, he sent legal letters to the press if they were being intrusive on her privacy. And when there were photographs of her taken topless sunbathing in the south of France, again he took action against the foreign magazine that published those photographs. He's determined that his family will not be destroyed in the way that his family were, that his parents' relationship was.
They want to learn from mistakes that were perhaps made in the past with other members of the royal family. You know, we have seen the children, yes, we have seen them more and more at a few events all together, and the older two, Charlotte and George as well. But what we don't get is we don't get regular updates of how they're doing at school, where we used to get with Harry and William. You know, Princess Diana and Prince Charles, as he was then, they used to issue those statements to the press. We don't get that. You know, we did see a shot of them going to school on their first day, but there has been, you know, no paparazzi shots, no long lens shots of them in the playground or anything like that. They really, really value their children's privacy and their right to have a childhood. Now, we know royal watchers and royal fans love to see royal children, and yes, we certainly are getting to see a bit of them, royal events and on their social media channels, but they're fiercely protective of them and their childhood. Apart from perhaps them going to the odd royal events, they bring them up as, you know, a very middle class upbringing, very outdoorsy, you know, doing sports and riding horses, playing tennis and things like that. They really want to make sure that they are there for them. Unlike with William and Harry, who had governesses, as did Prince Charles, you know, he was left for long stretches while his mum, the Queen Elizabeth, went off on royal tours. They don't necessarily want to do that. They want to be there for the children. They want to raise their children and protect their childhood as much as they can.
I think it's interesting that we will, see the children being kept out of the public limelight, that they will, in a sense, be protected until they reach the age of maturity. One of the things that Kate has been very good at is that she, in a sense, is curated the narration. She has been the one taking the photographs of family events and then sent those pictures to the press. So she has shaped the narrative, often through photographs rather than anything else. So though we don't know that much about their family life, we see quite a lot of pictures of them making cakes and doing things. And so though the children don't do many public events outside the Jubilee celebrations, we do get a sense of their family life together, pictures of them on holiday, She knows that the public want to see something of them, but she knows where to draw the line.
King Charles and Princess Anne experienced notably structured and often isolating upbringings, spending long periods away from their parents while being cared for primarily by nannies and staff, as royal duties demanded the attention of the monarch.
He was often left with governesses and his grandmother. And we haven't seen that at all, actually, with William and Kate. You know, they took George on a royal tour when he was a baby, just like Princess Diana actually took Prince William when he was a baby. And so they're very hands-on, definitely want to be there for their children, want to be involved in their upbringing and want to protect their childhood as much as they can.
Emotional distance and formality were common features of royal childhoods in that era, reflecting the expectations placed on the institution at the time. While William and Kate are supported by nanny Maria Theresa, who helps manage logistics, travel and day-to-day schedules, the Prince and Princess of Wales' style of raising their children appear differently. The public fascination is not simply about who George, Charlotte and Louis are, but what they represent. Through carefully managed photographs and public appearances, the children have become part of a broader effort to reshape the monarchy's image. Rather than distant young royals hidden from view, they are presented as relatable children growing up within a loving family. In many ways, they embody William and Catherine's vision of a modern monarchy, one that feels more emotionally open, accessible, and connected to ordinary family life than the generations that came before.
So the chat sofa is something that Kate and William have developed, and basically it's an opportunity to have a bit of a quiet moment with their children if there's something they need to talk to them about, whether that's school, whether that's behaviour, whatever it is. They have a sofa where they can have a one-on-one, have a conversation, maybe lay down some ground rules or sort out an issue, and that's something that really works for the family. George and Charlotte seem to be quite like their father, Prince William, and that they are quite respectful, they're quite calm, they're quite graceful when they're in public. They've definitely taken to the royal training, shaking hands and knowing how to talk to people. Prince Louis, probably more like Prince Harry, I suspect, but more cheeky, but more mischievous, and definitely a bit more of a rule breaker.
As much as they are young royals growing up in the spotlight, William and Catherine appear determined to put their children's childhoods above their royal duties for as long as possible. This style of upbringing is reminiscent of William's mother, Diana, who sought to give him and Harry experiences beyond the traditional boundaries of royal life.
Diana would always make sure that they had entertainment after their schooling days, like the Thorpe Park, theme parks. She was good at entertaining them, and it was part of her education of showing them what other children of their age group do. I don't think it sort of sat very well with the Prince of Wales. I don't think he really could see the point of dragging these young children off to burger bars and theme parks. But it was part of Diana's programme, and to be fair to the Prince, he acknowledged that the children were perhaps happier in her company at that time than they would be with his. So it must have been difficult for him, with Diana having, no doubt the lion's share of the children. But I think it worked.
King Charles III was definitely more of a hands-off parent. I mean, Prince Harry talked about in Spare when he was told by his father that his mother had died, and he describes how Prince Charles, as he was then, patted him on the knee and called him dear boy. There was no embrace or anything like that. So he was definitely a bit more hands-off as a parent, probably wasn't there as much as Prince William is being for his children. And I think both Prince Harry and Prince William want to learn from, perhaps I could say, the mistakes that King Charles III made, and they don't want to repeat them with their own children.
I think it must be a great sadness to William that his children didn't know his mother, but there are lots of pictures of her in the house. She's talked about. There are clearly artefacts that get passed on, rings and things like that. So, I think like any family where perhaps the grandmother has died before the children are born, there is a sense of that they are still part of the family even though they're not there. But there's certainly a very, very close bond with Kate Middleton's parents, and they see a lot of them. Again, they live quite close to Windsor, and they're very hands-on grandparents, and again, a very good, I think, example to the children.
When you look at William and Harry today, they're certainly more normal than perhaps their father was at that age. I think that, on the whole, was attributable to Diana's motherhood, quite frankly.
As she left the car this morning, Princess Charlotte, like so many other children in recent weeks, looked a little nervous and found a spot behind her mum's dress for safety. Then again, the first day at school is never the easiest when you're just 4 years old. Her big brother Prince George, of course, has been doing this for a while now. He's going into year 2, and if you were to compare their faces today, it would be easy to conclude that he looked a lot less happy about being back in the classroom after the summer holidays than his sister. Charlotte had a ponytail to flick, however, and Dad said she was very excited. George will help show you the way, said Kate, as they disappeared into class.
George and Charlotte began their education at Thomas's Battersea, where they experienced a more traditional school environment alongside other children away from the formalities of royal life. In 2022, the family moved to Windsor, where they joined their younger brother Louis at Lambrook School, allowing all 3 children to grow up together within the same school community. The next chapter may already be taking shape. With reports indicating that George is expected to attend Eton College, the same school attended by both William and Charles, his future is gradually beginning to come into focus, on a journey that will ultimately lead to the throne.
Princess Charlotte could potentially attend Eton if the school decides to go co-ed, if they decide to admit girls as well. It's thought that Prince George might be lined up to attend Eton. It's thought that Prince Louis may go there as well. So if the school does decide to go co-education, we could see Princess Charlotte there.
Eton is a school probably unlike any other, really. It has a vocabulary and a language that is unique to Eton. And also, I think unusually, every boy from the day they arrive have a private room with their own little study incorporated in their room. They are treated probably more like university students than school children. Eton has a huge amount of money. Any subject that anyone wants to study, whether it's on the curriculum or not, they can study. They can do whatever hobby they want. It's a very stimulating and interesting place, and it attracts some of the best speakers for all the societies and so on. It's a very special place.
Beyond Eton, the future paths of George, Charlotte and Louis will likely begin to reflect the different roles they may one day play within the royal family. For George, his education will form part of a longer journey towards kingship, with expectations that he will continue to develop an understanding of public service, constitutional duties, and the responsibilities that come with being heir to the throne. For Charlotte and Louis, their futures are less defined, but they will still grow up with the awareness that they are members of the royal family, carrying their own responsibilities and public expectations. Unlike previous generations, William and Catherine appear keen to allow each child to develop their own identity rather than being defined solely by their position within the line of succession. Whether through higher education, military service, charitable work, or supporting royal duties, the next stage of their lives will be shaped by the challenge at the heart of modern royalty, preparing for a lifetime of public service while still allowing space for personal ambition and individuality.
I think in terms of productive members of this slimmed down monarchy, it's definitely William and Catherine and their 3 children. I think definitely they are the future of the royal family. They are hard-working royals, but most of all, they're popular. People love to see them, and people love to see the family all together. So they can be very effective in keeping up the profile of the monarchy and keeping the royal family popular.
As George grows older, one of his greatest sources of guidance will be his father. Unlike previous transitions, William's path to kingship has unfolded in the public eye from childhood, through loss, duty, and adulthood. That experience is widely seen as shaping a more emotionally aware approach to monarchy, one that places greater emphasis on family life, visibility, and connection with the public.
When William becomes king, it could be shortly, it could be decades away. Whenever it is, I think he will be very much a king who knows his own mind. William is a very determined man. He likes to be in control of his life and in control of the situation around him. I think he takes the role very seriously. I think he believes in monarchy. And in all the charities that he works for as well, they really love him.
Hello.
I just wanted to say thank you for rescuing me last year.
Was it you?
Yeah.
Was it from the beach in Lango?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it
In
your
Cameron.
sister?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you? You alright?
I'm okay.
I'm glad you made a full recovery. A lot of time you never meet up with anyone after you've done it. So it's quite
coming here today because I felt you're so good.
All right.
Say thanks to you and the
guys.
No.
The guys,
whole team.
It's the whole team. It's all crew. It's a crew thing.
He's got a great deal of charisma. He's kind, he's thoughtful, and as I say, he's funny. And that really breaks the ice with anybody.
So, I thought I'd start with something personal, a tribute to my parents. I have 2 children, as you probably know. I gather it has been widely reported.
Prince William has developed a relaxed public manner that often makes royal engagements feel more approachable and informal, helping bridge the gap between tradition and modern audiences. Alongside him, Catherine, Princess of Wales, is often seen as a steadying presence, composed, attentive, and deeply involved in maintaining a sense of stability within the royal household. By presenting themselves as a united and affectionate couple, William and Catherine reinforce a quiet but powerful message: that a strong parental partnership can form the foundation for a secure and confident childhood, even within the extraordinary demands of the monarchy. On one hand, William and Catherine emphasize play, family routines, and emotional support. On the other, they are quietly preparing their children for highly public roles that require discipline, etiquette, and an understanding of tradition. This combination of normal childhood experiences with careful royal preparation is a central part of how the couple are reinventing modern royal parenthood.
Prince George was told probably when he was around 7 that he was the heir to the throne and that he was going to be king. And so he's been involved in a few royal events. You know, he was part of the coronation ceremony and part of the coronation service. He served as a page, and he's been to a few events when it's just been him and his father and his mother. So he is definitely doing much more of royal events and royal tours. He's been singled out to spend time with his grandfather, King Charles III, who will also be talking to him and schooling him about what he's doing and what's coming up for him. So he's having that one-on-one time. He's more involved in royal life and these royal events. And that's perfect preparation. Remember, he's only just turned 10, so he's still very young. He's still all about the rugby and the football and playing with his siblings. But he is having these little, drip feeding this information to him as he's going along to prepare him for this life of service. when King William ascends to the throne, you will definitely see Prince George's preparation kick up a notch. Probably what's happening right now to Prince William. We don't know what age George will be. He certainly will be older than he is now, but he will definitely be being more prepared for that life of service. He probably would have spent time in the armed forces, so he will know the value of being commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He will have decided what his life's work is going to be, whatever, charities he's going to focus on, and he will be probably learning in a very hands-on way, the way that Prince William is right now, the job of king, the job of being, this unelected head of state, commander-in-chief, and everything that means. Prince George's first ever royal engagement was when he was just 2 years old, and he was at a royal air show with his mum and dad, the Prince and Princess of Wales. He was in the cockpit of a plane. It was some really cute pictures of him wearing these big ear defenders. And he was in the cockpit of the plane, and he asked his mum if it was time to fly the red arrows now, to which his mum replied, not quite yet. I mean, at 2 years old, wanting to fly a red arrow, following in his father's footsteps, because he flew in the armed forces as well.
As things stand, there is only one person in the world who truly understands the path that lies ahead for George: his grandfather, King Charles.
Prince George and King Charles III do have quite a special relationship. They are very, very close. They like spending one-on-one time together. And I think that's actually very sweet. It's very sweet to see King Charles III in this kind of grandfatherly role. I think that certainly softened him on his journey to becoming king. So the two of them are quite close. They do spend time together one-on-one, and Prince George will need that in his preparation to one day, take his grandfather's job, as it were. Prince George does have a little bit of a cheeky side, and it's been reported that one day at school he did tell his classmates that his dad was going to be king, so they'd better stop doing that, or better stop teasing him, or whatever it was. And I think, you know what, George, all power to you. Use that for as long as you possibly can.
For now, George, Charlotte and Louis appear in public only on carefully chosen occasions. Whether on the Buckingham Palace balcony, at major national celebrations, or supporting their parents at selected engagements, each appearance serves as a gentle introduction to a life that will inevitably involve public service. As George, Charlotte and Louis slowly begin to understand the responsibilities that come with their position, they are doing so with the support of parents determined to prepare them not just for royal life, but for life itself. If the future of the monarchy rests with the next generation, William and Catherine appear determined to ensure it is in safe hands.